We've just started our new geometry unit, so I wanted to give you some background information on the basic geometric figures that your student just learned this week. We start off by learning about different types of lines. So this week, the first thing they learned was a point. Point actually is trickier to them because they have to memorize its definition, which is a location in space. And of course they want to think outer space, but it really just means anywhere. And they have to know it doesn't have any length, width, or height. A line, they learn, is a collection of those points that goes on in either direction. They have to understand the definition and be able to recognize and create a line using the arrows to show that it goes on in either direction. A segment is just a piece of a line. I like to remind them that segment means a piece of something. So a line segment has two endpoints. And endpoints are different than a point because they come at the end of a geometric figure. And so they have to remember that a line segment has two endpoints while a ray has one endpoint. I like to remind them that a ray is kind of like a ray of sun, with the endpoint being the sun and the ray of sunlight going on and on. Then students learned about parallel lines, which are a pair of lines that travel next to each other without ever touching. Sometimes these can be tricky because on a test they might see lines that look like this. And while they're not touching now, they have to know that eventually they will touch, so these lines are not parallel. Intersecting lines are lines that cross or touch. So that means lines that just touch, like a big T, and lines that cross each other, like an X. And then last they learn about perpendicular lines. And perpendicular lines are a type of intersecting lines, but they're special because the angles they make are all right angles. So here I really push that T's are perpendicular lines, T's and L's, and that helps them to remember. So they have to make right angles. And they might see some that are really close and might be kind of tricky. So what I have them do is get out a piece of paper and line it up with the angle to see if it's a match. And when they line it up, they can see that it doesn't make a right angle. Perpendicular lines also cross or touch like intersecting lines. And last, they're learning about three types of angles. A right angle, which is helpful because they just did the perpendicular lines. And a acute angle, which is easier because we just say it's a cute little angle. It's smaller than a right angle. And an obtuse angle, which is larger than the right angle. And for angles, they need to know that an angle is two rays that have one end point. They're connected at their end point. Hope that was helpful. Geometry is a really fun unit. It's really all about memorizing definitions and being able to recognize and create these geometric figures and shapes. Let me know if you need any help.